would they now beat you most of the times?
Yes. I think almost any phone which was made in the last 3 years can beat any human on the planet. It's gotten to that point because of the growth of computers and the growth of very sophisticated chess-playing programs. I mean, chess-playing programs are very sophisticated these days. In a sense, they also make very unusual moves. They don't just use brute force, and they're not very materialistic and that sort of thing. But the second thing is that to improve, all you need is a partner who has ideas. Because earlier, you had to be very good because you had to defend your ideas yourself. So if I said, okay, this move is good, and you said, no, but I think this move is better, it ended up being my opinion versus yours. What happens now is that both of us can then check with the computer and see. So when we work, I can have someone whose practical results aren't as good as mine, but who has very creative ideas. That's enough. Because the fact-checking can be left to the computers. And so you get on with finding creative ideas and interesting patterns that you can use. And that's what you try to do all the time. You try to find interesting patterns that you can use later.
Another question? Yeah, right there, please.
Yeah, hello, Anand. Like you talked that now kids are becoming creative by working with the computers. Is it a good idea to I have a 4-year-old kid, to let those kids play with computers? Because when they play with humans, they're very unpredictable when they go to tournaments and all. So should they practice with computers?
Before you answer, she's been Skyping, and your son is in Meerut, right? So she's been showing this entire session to her son on Skype. So he's listening to you. He's 4 years old. He's the youngest rated chess player in the world.
Wow, okay.
And she's been showing the entire session to him on Skype, and she's been holding that phone up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think a certain amount of interaction with the computer is helpful. And there are obviously nice videos and chess puzzles that you can access to the computer. You can watch online tournaments. So a lot of learning opportunities. However, before you're able to use the computer fully as an oracle, you must first be able to understand the answers. So I think it's very healthy to have a back and forth, that you play with other people, even that you interact with people who are stronger than you, so that you get certain questions in your mind. And once you have the question in your head, then you can ask the computer and try and get an answer. But otherwise, if you just expose to the computer too quickly, you might not be able to, the question might not be clear in your head, and neither will the answer. So I would say it's one tool amongst many, but it shouldn't be the only thing they do.
Okay, one last question. Sorry, we're running out of time. Somebody from this side, yes? Damayanti, do you have a question? Yeah. Oh, we'll take both of them quickly.
Thanks. You know, this chessboard is all about power play. Kings, queens, enemies, and wars. And the skills you mentioned are like strategy, guessing the opponent's intentions, and other things. So wouldn't that make chess players great politicians? Have you ever thought about that?
Yes. Actually, I don't... I think chess and politics are very different. Probably, if you see that my pieces will do exactly what I tell them to do, and my opponent's pieces will do exactly what my opponents tell them to do, then the normal analogy is more with armies. So you could make a case, and in fact, historically that was the case, that chess was considered a way for you to think strategically. And in fact, the chess pieces are the old army units. Because we don't have tanks and all that, but the old army units, the cavalry, infantry, all that's represented here. We can't change rules in mid-course. We can't break away and start a new game. So for politics, not ideal.
Okay, last question.
Yeah. Hi, Anand.
Hi.
We were all heartbroken when you lost twice to Magnus Carlsen. Just wanted to know, have you been able to find out, what was, or you and your team, what was the reason behind it, and you've been preparing for that? Just wanted to know that, so that next time, you emerge as a winner. Thank you.
Actually, in our case, the pattern has been fairly clear for a while. I mean, the first match, I was simply not in the right frame of mind. Not only for that match, but for a while before that, I'd been, and I think that had a lot to do with not being on top of things and not focusing on the right areas to work on for many years. For the second match, things improved a lot, and I think I managed to cover the gap very well. But still, I've got to get better with the precision. So, essentially, Magnus's style is about making a lot of moves. They're not always the best move. In fact, far from it. But his moves hardly ever fall out of the top 4. So there's a kind of consistency there. And changing my game to be more consistent is one of the things I would have to do. But that's easier said than done, because it's easier to work on specific tasks than simply say, to say I'm going to be better for a longer period is a very vague goal, and it's hard to implement. You have to try and just raise your game at a lot of different levels. For instance, the way you play your opening is very different from the way you play a later stage. So it's not the same approach. But again, I think if I keep working consistently, then I'll get better at it, and hopefully, thank you.
Thank you so much, Viswanathan Anand. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to Viswanathan Anand for everything that he's achieved and much more to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. Thank you, Kunal. May I please ask Pankaj...